की जय। श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की जय। ध्यान मूलम गुरोर मूर्तिः पूजा मूलम गुरोर्पदम् मंत्रमूलम गुरोर्वाक्यम भक्तिमूलम गुरोर्कृपा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुर् गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः। गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव। नमः कमलना भाय नमः कमल मालिने नमः कमल पादाय नमस्ते कमलेक्षण यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तग्वंह देवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशं मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये। Eternally divine souls, we will now chant from page 132, book number 1. Towards the bottom of the page, Guru Charan Kamal Balihar. गुरु चरण कमल बलिहार गुरु पर तन मन धनवार गुरु चरण धूरे सिरधार गुरु महिमा अपरंपार। गुरु चरण कमल बलिहार गुरु पर तन मन धनवार गुरु चरण धूरी सिरधार गुरु महिमा अपरंपार गुरु महिमा अपरंपार।
गुरु महिमा अपरंपार।
सद्गुरु भज नंद कुमार, हरि भज सद्गुरु सरकार।
सद्गुरु भज नंद कुमार, हरि भज सद्गुरु सरकार।
दो कहा दो प्राण हमार, गुरु महिमा अपरंपार।
दो कहा दो प्राण हमार, गुरु महिमा अपरंपार।
गुरु रहा उर नंद कुमार, गुरु उर रहा हरि रिझवार।
गुरु रहा उर नंद कुमार, गुरु उर रहा हरि रिझवार।
गुरु उर रहा हरि रिझवार।
गुरु उर रहा हरि रिझवार।
दो करुणा को भंडार, गुरु महिमा अपरंपार।
दो करुणा को भंडार।
Everyone please sing and clap your hands.
गुरु महिमा अपरंपार।
दो करुणा को भंडार, गुरु महिमा अपरंपार।
दो करुणा को भंडार, गुरु महिमा अपरंपार।
गुरु चाह सुख नंद कुमार, गुरुवर सुख चाह रिझवार।
गुरु चाह सुख नंद कुमार, गुरुवर सुख चाह रिझवार।
गुरुवर सुख चाह रिझवार।
गुरुवर सुख चाह रिझवार।
हरि गुरु दो प्राणाधार, गुरु महिमा अपरंपार।
हरि गुरु दो प्राणाधार, गुरु महिमा अपरंपार।
गुरु महिमा अपरंपार।
गुरु महिमा अपरंपार।
गुरु मिले कृपा रिझवार, गुरु कृपा मिले सरकार।
गुरु मिले कृपा रिझवार, गुरु कृपा मिले सरकार।
गुरु कृपा मिले सरकार।
गुरु कृपा मिले सरकार।
दो कृपा रूप साकार, चरण कमल बलिहार, गुरु पर तन मन धन वार। गुरु चरण धूरी सिरधार, गुरु महिमा अपरंपार।
गुरु चरण कमल बलिहार, गुरु पर तन मन धनवार। गुरु चरण कमल बलिहार, गुरु महिमा अपरंपार।
गुरु कहा भजु नंद कुमार, गुरु कहा भजु कहा रिझवार।
गुरु कहा भज नंद कुमार, गुरु कहा भज कहा रिझवार।
गुरु कहा भजु कहा रिझवार।
गुरु कहा भज कहा रिझवार।
दो दास्य धर्म उर्धार, गुरु महिमा अपरंपार।
दास धर्म उर्धार, गुरु महिमा अपरंपार।
गुरु पतितन सो, गुरु पतितन सो कर प्यार, हरि निर्मल जन को यार।
गुरुपति तन सो कर प्यार, हरि निर्मल जन को यार।
हरि निर्मल जन को यार।
हरि निर्मल जन को यार।
यह अंतर सुजन विचार, गुरु महिमा अपरंपार।
यह अंतर सुजन विचार, गुरु महिमा अपरंपार।
यह है भव सिंधु अपार, नर देह नाव अनुहार।
यह है भव सिंधु अपार, नर देह नाव अनुहार।
नर देह नाव अनुहार।
नर देह नाव अनुहार।
नाविक सद्गुरु सरकार, गुरु महिमा अपरंपार।
नाविक सद्गुरु सरकार, गुरु महिमा अपरंपार।
गुरु महिमा अपरंपार।
गुरु महिमा अपरंपार।
जो समझा दे, जो समझा दे श्रुति सार, उर भरा प्रेम रिझ रिझवार।
जो समझा दे श्रुति सार, उर भरा प्रेम रिझवार।
उर भरा प्रेम रिझवार।
उर भरा प्रेम रिझवार।
सोई है सद्गुरु सरकार। गुरु सोई कृपालु सरकार।
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 गुरु चरण कमल बलिहार। गुरु पर तन मन धनवार। गुरु चरण धूरि सिरधार। गुरु महिमा अपरंपार।
गुरु चरण कमल बलिहार। गुरु पर तन मन धनवार। गुरु चरण धूरि सिरधार। गुरु महिमा अपरंपार।
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 श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की जय। श्रीमद् युगल सरकार की जय। Devotional listeners, now I humbly request your full attention. We are walking on the path of devotion. We are not yet devotees. The definition of a devotee or a Vaishnav is provided to us by the Bhagavad Mahapurana. Tribhuvan vibhava hetave kuntha smritirajitaatma suradibhir vimrigyat na chalati bhagavat padarvindallav nimishardhamapi yassa vaishnavagrah. The definition of a devotee is one who does not forget God for even a fraction of a second. His mind stream is always flowing towards the lotus feet of God. It's like the Ganga Ji, the continuous flow of Ganga toward Ganga Sagar. It's a continuous flow without a break. So a devotee is one whose thoughts are always flowing towards God. We are not there yet. We are aspiring devotees. Sadhak, we are sadhak. As sadhaks, as aspiring devotees, we need to be very cautious. We are practicing devotion, and we must. Jagat Guru Tam Shri Kripaluji Maharaj, our beloved Shri Maharaj Ji says, he used to say, sadhana hi sadhak ka jeevan hai. The practice of devotion is the very life of an aspiring devotee. So we must do sadhana every day. Because our mind is extremely affected by the poisons of the world. We are living in the world. We are living in a contaminated environment. It is Kali Yuga after all. Everywhere we see, we are encouraged to think about the world, not about God. So we are living in this world, and the world is entering into the mind. The mind is getting polluted every single day. It is essential that we bring God into the mind. It's essential that we bring our Guru Dev into the mind. And that is what we do when we do sadhana. Through the practice of devotion, we are trying to minimize the damage that the world is doing to our mind. And we must be very cautious to protect the mind. Our mind is like milk, and the world and worldly environment, that's like water. So when water mixes into the milk is no longer pure. There's a mixture. When the world affects our mind, the world enters our mind becomes very defiled. It becomes much more impure than it is already. And we cannot say, well, I'm not affected by anything. I'm not affected by what I see, what I hear, what I taste, touch, and smell in the world. We are very affected. We may not realize it, but we are being affected every single day by the material world. So the world is like water, and that water is mixing into the milk, which is our mind. Is there a way we can live in the world and not have the world affect us? There is. Saints and scriptures tell us that there is a way. Sri Maharaji would say, make your mind, which is like milk, make it into makhan, make it into butter. As you know, butter is not threatened by water. You have butter in a dish, and you add water to it. The butter will not mix with the water. Water will not mix with the butter. The butter will float on water. It's not affected by the water. So what a great analogy this is. Let's make our mind like butter. It's like milk right now. Let's make it into butter. How do we make butter? The old-fashioned way. First you make curd, dahi. How do we make dahi? You put milk in a quiet place where it will not be disturbed. So we need to separate ourselves from the world for some time. We need to go into a private place where nobody will disturb us, where there will be no sounds, where there's no disturbance. And we need to practice devotion. We need to bring God into the mind, into that mind. And then our mind will become like dahi, like curd. And then you churn that curd. There's a churning process. So then what do? We do more devotion. We practice more. We do more sadhana. And then eventually makhan will be made. Butter will be made. In other words, our mind will become very strong. Now we can live in the world, and the world will have no impact on us. The world will not affect us. But we are not there right now. But we need to do devotion every day. We need to do sadhana every day. The word sadhana means practice. For our purposes, sadhana means a practice of devotion. Daily devotion is a must. And then when we have spent an hour or two doing karam sannyas sadhana, taking a break from all chores and responsibilities of daily life, we have spent an hour or two with God and Guru, then what do? Then we need to protect that sadhana. We need to protect it. When you make money, you earn money, then you protect it. You don't leave it somewhere outside. I got my paycheck, I just cashed it, and I think I'll just leave the money in my front yard and I'll come and get it later. Or I'll put it on the road and I'll come for it later. We don't do that. Nobody does that. You protect that money. That money is so important. You don't want to waste it. You worked hard for it. You toiled hard for it, so you protect it. You put it away where no one will be able to get it. You put it in the bank, safely in the bank. What about our spiritual earnings? We need to protect them. What does that mean? It means after we have done sadhana for some time, then we need to take precautions. There are many ways in which we can take precautions. There are many precautions to take. How do we lose our spiritual earnings? Through many different ways. After leaving our puja room, after leaving any room that we have done sadhana in, let's call it our sadhana room, then we get involved with the world. You'll say, well, we have to. Yes. Physically become involved with the world, but mentally do not become involved in it. Involvement of the mind is a must in the performance of every single action, but the attachment of the mind is not necessary. So we must do the chores, we must get involved with the world, but not attached to it. What we need to do then is karma yoga sadhana. While we are working, we must devise methods so that we may think about Sri Krishna throughout the day, from morning till night, especially when at work. Because life gets busy, work gets busy, and then people say, well, I forgot. We forget. But we must take logical steps in order to remember God and Guru throughout the day. Take your Ishtadev, take Lord Krishna with you to work. That does not mean that you take a murti, big or small murti, to work. It does not mean that you make a big show of it. Just take Krishna in your mind. Take him in your mind. Buckle him up in the passenger seat. So the mind gets the idea that he's coming along with me to work. And then throughout the day, perhaps it's every hour in the beginning, every hour I'm going to think about Sri Krishna. I'm going to think about my beloved Krishna. And I think the gadgets today are wonderful if we use them for the best reason, and that is they are good reminders for us. They remind us of God. It's not impossible to put on an alarm on an hourly basis. Our modern day gadgets allow us to do that. So you can put on an alarm on an hourly basis, and every hour, on the hour, the alarm will remind you to think about Sri Krishna. We do need reminders, don't we? We need a lot of reminders. When it comes to remembering the world, we need no reminders. But when it comes to remembering God and Guru, we need as many reminders as we can get. So an hourly alarm is a good idea. The mind is reminded, hey, think about Sri Krishna. And then you look up at the ceiling, that's where you put your Krishna, or you put him somewhere in the room, on that chair, on that table, and just glance at him to just know that he is there. That is a wonderful way to protect the earnings that we have accumulated. We have worked hard. We have taken time out of our busy schedules to dedicate that time for our daily sadhana. Now, we should not lose our earnings. So we must we should get the mind accustomed to thinking about our Ishtadev and our Gurudev every so often throughout the day. And then, when we face people, it's family members or co-workers or boss or subordinates, there are many, many people you face every day. As a sadhak, you must try to see God within everyone. This is just a wonderful thing to do. Because our mind loves two things, rag and dvesh, love and hatred. There are certain people the mind loves. It's made up its mind. I love this person. I love these people. These are my family members. These are the people I love. And there are people that I don't like or I hate. The mind loves love and hatred. I hate this person, can't stand this person, cannot tolerate this person. So we meet people and we have feelings of love or hatred towards them. It's much easier to see God in the people we love, but it's a big challenge to see God within the person we don't like. And that is what we need to do. That is what a sadhak needs to do. Everything that's being said today is about a sadhak who wants to make progress. It's not for anyone else. It's for a sadhak who wants to make further progress. So we must try to see God in everyone, especially in the ones we don't like, the ones we hate. That is where we need to see God. There is God in this one. Here I am thinking ill of this person, and in the meantime, Sri Krishna is sitting inside this person. How disappointed he must be. How sad he must be. How sad my Guru must be. Because I have these feelings, these negative feelings towards this person. As sadhaks, we must think, we must realize that people who throw challenges our way, or we think they're throwing challenges our way, why not think this is a test from God? It's a test for me, test of my tolerance. Trin se bhi deen aru Govind Radhe, taru se sahishnu nij man ko bana de. Jagat Guru Shri Kripaluji Maharaj in Radha Govind Geet, a translation of the Sanskrit words by Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sada hari. Be more humble than a blade of grass, be more tolerant than a tree. The tree has stones thrown at it, but it gives sweet fruits to the one who throws stones at it. Be even more tolerant than a tree, O sadhak. Give respect to one and all, but do not desire any for yourself. These are words spoken to a sadhak. This is how you become a sadhak, says Gauranga Mahaprabhu, says Jagat Guru Shri Kripaluji Maharaj. When a guru enters our life, then our life must change. Our mind must become better. We must improve. Otherwise, what are we doing? We are just fooling ourselves. If we are the same before our guru comes into our life, and now we are the same, he's been in our lives for maybe 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, we are the same, or worse still, we are getting worse, then what are we really doing? If there is no improvement, then what am I doing? Is this a farce? I'm just fooling myself. Because God and Guru cannot be fooled. I'm just fooling myself. I am just becoming more proud. Here I am thinking I'm a devotee, you know. I will have you know I'm a devotee. But I'm not. Because I am not using, if we are not using the principles of devotion in daily life, then these lectures that we hear from saints, they are not just so that we may listen to them and say, wow, how nicely you spoke. How well you spoke. What a great lecture that was. And this is why Sri Maharajji would ask after giving a lecture. He would often ask, what did I say in the lecture? Because we are supposed to listen to the lecture. First we do Shravan. Then the next thing is Manan. We must think about what we have heard. And then third step is Nididhyasan. We must make up our mind to live according to what we have learned from that lecture. So as sadhaks, we must try to see God within everyone. Not just within some people, within everyone. We have heard many times, haven't we? Na jane kis roop mein Narayan mil jaye. No one knows. We don't know what form God will take and come before us. And here we are thinking, this person is not a good person. And that was God himself. What will happen to us? And our mind is so polluted that we see faults within God. We see faults in God. We see faults in God-realized souls. So our mind is corrupt, there's no doubt. Our mind is very contaminated. But at least we can try. This is what we're here to do. We are sadhaks. We are trying to improve ourselves. So we must try to see God in every person. We must not see faults in anyone. Sri Maharaji has said hundreds of times that seeing faults in a person means that you are faulty yourself. If you were perfect, you would never see faults in anyone. Because you are seeing faults in others, it means it's an indication, sure indication, that you are faulty yourself. When we see faults in a person, then we don't realize it. Otherwise we will never do it. But we don't realize that that person is entering our heart. That person is entering our mind. And as sadhaks, we are trying to bring God and Guru into the mind. But we are bringing this person into the mind, the person we are criticizing in the mind. What are we doing? Not only that, but this person comes in along with his many faults, the faults that he has, and everybody has faults. So this person comes into our mind along with the faults. It's as if we are saying, listen, give me your faults. Just give me. And not only do we take his faults, we give him all our virtues. So give me your faults, and here, take my virtues. Who would be foolish enough to do that? We do it. Every time we think ill of others, every time we find faults with others, we are doing exactly that. Parasya nindam paishunyam dhikkaram chakarotiyah. Padma Puran. Fault finding, saints have said, is the biggest fault within us. The habit of finding faults is not a bad one if we find faults within ourselves. If we say, well, I like finding faults, what can I do? My mind just likes to find faults. Then, all right, go ahead, find faults within yourself. Because each and every one of us, we are full of faults. Here on the path of devotion, we must think, I am the worst of all. I am a sinner of huge proportions. No one is as big a sinner as I am. There are countless sins I have committed in the past. So how is it that I, the biggest sinner, I'm finding faults with another? Tulsidas ji is saying, Tulsidas ji, Surdas ji, these saints are saying, Hari ha sab patitan koti ko. They're saying to Bhagwan, my Lord, I am the biggest of all sinners. Tiko, tilak. I am the topmost of all sinners. Mosam kaun kutil khal kami. Who can be as crooked as myself? Who can be as sinful as myself? These saints are saying this. They are perfect, but they are saying that they are very imperfect, that they are sinners. Why would we, who are full of faults, why would we hesitate to think ourselves to be full of faults? And how is it that we can see the faults of others? But how do I get to the point where I can think this way? I'm not used to thinking this way. I just look at a person, I see faults. What can I do? I'm helpless. So then our Gurudev tells us, he suggests that when you get up early in the morning, just think, I'm going to be careful today. I am going to exercise caution today. I'm not just going to speak without discrimination. I'm not going to think without discrimination. I'm going to bring good thoughts into my mind. And if bad thoughts come in, I am going to kick them out. I'm going to be very careful today. After all, life is short. Another day has passed. That means I have one day less to live in my life. I may die any moment, so I am going to be careful today. So all day long, because the first thought was, I'm going to be careful today, then chances are we will be careful. Not throughout the day perhaps in the beginning, but it will get better if this is a practice we take up every single day. And then, before we go to sleep, we must think, where did I go wrong today? Did I think ill of someone? Was I careless in any way? I was. I spoke words of anger today. That's not good. I hurt someone's feelings by my words. Par peeda sam nahi adhumai. Tulsidas ji says there is no bigger sin than harming another. So I have harmed that person, that family member, that friend, that co-worker. I have harmed this person through my words. I made these mistakes. So at the end of the day, we must think before sleeping, where did I go wrong? And then we must resolve not to make the same mistakes the following day. Shri Maharaj Ji says, and this is how you improve yourself. इस तरह से उन्नति होती है. This is how you improve yourself, says our Gurudev. Just being very mindful of what we are seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling throughout the world, throughout the day. What we are thinking. At the end of the day, how many hours or minutes or moments did I think about God today? Did I do karm sannyas sadhana? Did I do karm yoga sadhana? Did I do it to the best of my ability? Am I trying to improve myself? How many worldly conversations did I partake in? How many worldly conversations did I take part in? And that's another thing that we as sadhaks must do. We must be very careful not to talk too much. Our Gurudev has given us a mantra. Kam bolo, meetha bolo. Speak little, speak sweetly. That must be because talking is very dangerous. The more we talk, let's say in the family, people are talking, so much talking with friends, family members, co-workers. Shri Maharaj Ji used to say, I see these satsangis, they leave the sadhana hall and immediately there's kusur, pusur, they're saying something or the other. So much talking. What are they talking about? What is there to talk about? Right after doing sadhana, what is there to talk about? Shri Maharaj Ji would say, I'm so disappointed that after doing so much sadhana, there is so much talk. 2 women are going together, 2 men are walking together, friends, and they're talking. So kam bolo, he said, speak little. And when you do speak, well, I do speak little. Yes, but your words are words of anger. Speak sweetly. Speak little, but the little you speak, they should be calming words. They should be sweet words. They should not be harming another person. But I had to get mad at my child. My child was not behaving. My subordinates, they were not putting in the work, so I have to scold them. Should I be speaking sweetly? Oh, you're very nice. You're doing really good work. That will not do it. Well, in that case, when we have to scold someone, then we should scold them from outwardly only, not inwardly. Scold them, it's an act that you're not really feeling any anger on the inside, but you're scolding them because you have to do it. That's part of your job. That's part of what you have to do. It's part of your duty. But don't get angry on the inside. What we do is the opposite. We get angry on the inside, but we speak sweetly on the outside. Or we get angry on the inside and speak angrily outside too. But if you have a guru who says, "Kam bolo, meetha bolo," then you must follow these words, these instructions. Sri Maharaj used to say, when someone sees you being quiet, that person may think you're very intelligent. There's a doubt. I think this person is very intelligent. But when you start talking, you remove all doubt, and the person says, "No, there's no sign of intelligence there." But look at this foolishness coming out of her mouth, his mouth. So, kam bolo, meetha bolo. For a sadhak, it is imperative not to have a full social calendar. A social calendar should not be so full. A sadhak wants to go towards God. So it makes perfect sense for the sadhak not to involve himself with the world so much. Satsang is going on, or it's time to do sadhana. Well, I have to go to that party. I have to go to that get-together. I have a wedding to go to. There's some weddings you'll need to go to. But the more friends you have, the more weddings there will be, the more funerals there will be, the more birthday parties there will be, the more graduation parties there will be. And in North America, there's graduation parties at every level. Starts with kindergarten. My kid graduated from kindergarten, and so there's a party I'm throwing. It's just an opportunity to get further away from God. That's it. There's sweet 16 parties, and what kind of message are we giving to that 16-year-old? What message is there? You can become more worldly now. There's certain things you can do. So all sorts of get-togethers. Sri Maharaj says, "Lakho mehfil jahan mein yun to." There are hundreds of thousands of gatherings. There are so many gatherings throughout the world. There's so many social functions to go to. Oh, but they will mind it if I don't go. It's okay, they'll mind it once or twice, but after that, they won't even ask you. They won't even ask. They'll say, they might think badly of me. So let them. We try so hard to be pleasing to people. We like to please people so much, but we don't spend so much time trying to please God. Oh no, he will mind it, I have to go. Even when it comes to going to a satsang in someone's house, and I've heard this throughout the years, it's been so many years. Oh, I had to come to this satsang because these are my friends, and they said, if you don't come, we cannot have a satsang. So they regard me so highly that I had to come to their satsang. Even that's a social obligation. Or it's a matter of pride that these people that you're doing satsang they're in their house, you're doing satsang in their house. I came here for satsang, not to hear the satsang, not to hear the lecture, not to partake in the kirtans and bhajans, but just because my friend, these are my friends, they asked me to come, and I had to make dal or halwa, and they cannot do without me, so I came. So many times I hear this, and I don't know whether to laugh or cry. That's why you go to satsang? Of course, there are people who come to satsang for the right reason, but there's so many others who will say, oh, no, I came because these people are my good friends. Or they will meet with the host and they will lock eyes with the host. They'll come 15, 20 minutes before the satsang ends. It's from 4 to 6 p.m. So, quarter to 6, okay, let's go in now. So quarter to 6, they'll show up and they'll say, I did attend your satsang. Meaning it's a social thing. When I have a satsang at home, I have a puja at home, you must come also. It's like going to somebody's child's wedding. I'm coming to your daughter's wedding, so when my son gets married, you must be there. There's an understanding. And the same thing spills on over to the spiritual activities. So to be a sadhak and to succeed, to, I should say, progress, make progress on the spiritual path, you should not have so many friends. And having this pride that I am well regarded in society, that's going to be very detrimental for a sadhak. A sadhak has to get rid of that pride. Sometimes friends start moving away. People have said this to me. When I invite people to my satsang, they just start avoiding me. And that will happen. Someone asked me, is this going to happen? I have many friends. I said, yeah, it's likely to happen. It will happen. It will happen. So, we must protect what we have earned. We must have good feelings towards everyone. We must never find faults. We must never think, I am doing devotion, he's not doing devotion, he is so allergic to devotion. Nothing like that. Because we know how much pride there is inside of us. And we are increasing the pride when we become judgmental. So a sadhak should not be judgmental. That I am doing devotion, you are not, they are not as much as I am doing. This is very, very dangerous. A sadhak must never think against any other guru, against any other path. Sri Maharaji received a letter from someone many years ago. I remember this from many years ago. And the gentleman, Satsangi, had said, Maharaji, I go to listen to many lectures, and I'm so disappointed. There's so many mistakes made in those lectures. And Sri Maharaji gave a nice scolding and said, what business do you have to go here and there and listen to different lectures? You should not have enough time to do this. You should be busy with your own self-improvement. Why are you going here and there when you have found a path in the first place? And then secondly, who made you the supervisor? Who told you to go here and there? Did God give you a message that you should go here and there and find out the faults of others, what they are saying right and what they're saying wrong? Sri Maharaji gave a very nice scolding that you should not be doing this. We must never have ill thoughts about anyone else's path, or any other leader, any other guru. Nothing. Nothing of the sort. And family life should be such that there are arguments in everyone's family. If someone says there's no argument in my family, then that person has no family members. That person is just one person. If there are two people, there will be arguments. Of course there will be. But it's our misconception that, he said this, the wife thinks my husband said this, so I've got to tell him back. I've got to say something back to him. Otherwise, sir pe chad jayega ye to. He will get, encouraged to say things to me again and again. And that is totally wrong. The best thing for a sadhak to do is to remain quiet. Just be quiet. The other person, what about the other person? That person won. No, you won. You're the winner here. You remain silent. You remain quiet. And then the other person, his anger will subside and he will think, oh my goodness, I made a mistake by yelling like that. But if it becomes a competition between Sursa and Hanuman, then there's Mahabharata at home. I'm mixing up two ages. Treta and Dwapar. But, there's battle at home every day. So we become winners if we just remain silent. You don't add fuel to the fire. If you don't add fuel to the fire will be extinguished. But what we tend to do is the ego says, no, you also say something that will hurt this person, this loved one whom I don't love right now. My husband, wife, whoever it may be, mother, father, whoever it may be. Because such situations do arise. When you really want to say something, when you want to just reciprocate and speak rudely, speak wrongly, speak disrespectfully. But a sadhak must not do it. Because he's a sadhak, plain and simple. Sadhana is the life of a sadhak. He must live according to the devotional principles. He's learning how to live life. What about the other person? Maybe the other person is not learning. He hasn't learned, she hasn't learned. This person has not learned, but I am learning, so what's my excuse? The other person's excuse is that he didn't listen to these lectures. He doesn't have a guru. Or even if both of them are following the same guru. So what? I want to make improvement. I don't want to show myself to be the one who can, I don't want to be the winner of this argument. I just want to win in sadhana. I just want to be succeeding in devotional practice. So I will do what I am learning to do. If philosophy is not put into practice, it's just philosophy, it's just theory. There's no practice. There's no practice there. Then what? Then it's just like, yatha kharash chandana bharavahi bharasya vetta natu chandanasya. It's like a mule carrying a precious load of sandalwood on its back, but not realizing the value of what it's carrying. And so whether you put a lump of lots of dirt on the back of the mule, or precious sandalwood, or a murti of God, murtis of God, that mule doesn't know what it's carrying, so everything is the same. So we're just carrying this knowledge around, this formidable knowledge, precious knowledge in our mind, but we're not realizing the importance of it. And then we say, my Gurudev, oh my goodness. And we get teary-eyed. Oh my goodness, what he has taught me, what he has shown me, the way to God, the path to God, the knowledge he has given is second to none. It's beautiful, it's wonderful. How do we know if we're not using it? I just like the lectures. The lectures sound real good. They're so good. I'm moved when I hear the lectures, but they're to be put into daily practice. And what we think often is, we use this philosophy against the other person. You follow Maharajji. How could you speak like this? Isn't that true? You should not be behaving like this because you are a devotee of Maharajji. You're a sadhak. You shouldn't be talking like this. You should not be behaving like this. What if we go take that finger towards ourselves? You should not be talking like this. You should not be behaving like this. We must look at what we are doing. What we are doing wrong, where we could improve. Because, we are selfish. We are swarthi. We are selfish after all. And so our aim should be to make great progress in this very life. We have been given the tools. We know how to use those tools. All we need to do is to actively use them every single day, throughout the day. And to make that easier for us, we must just spend a few moments every day when we wake up and give our mind the instruction, today I'm going to be very careful. So the mind gets this message, today you must be very careful. Be very careful, don't make mistakes. You want to get ahead on the devotional path. And at the end of the day, before sleeping at night, we must think, what did I do wrong? And if we do this every day, then naturally our wrongs will be reduced and all the right things we are doing, they will be increased. We'll be doing more of the right thing than the wrong thing, because we are taking stock every single night and we are telling ourselves to be careful every single morning. So naturally there will be progress made. It cannot be that we are trying to be careful and we're not making any progress. That just cannot be. So these are some of the pointers that Jagadguru Uttam Sri Kripaluji Maharaj has given to us as sadhaks. He always says that sadhak must employ savdhani. A sadhak must be very careful. We must be very careful in all aspects of life, so that we are able to practice devotion properly and we are able to also protect the devotion that we are accumulating. बोलिए श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की जय, श्रीमद् युगल सरकार की जय, जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे